So you've just created your first visionOS project, but what now? Let's start working on a to-do list app, the most classic tutorial project out there. In between lessons, I only did a few changes to this project just so it's easier for us to get started in this lesson. And basically what I did is completely clean out the content view, so it's only an empty view now instead of the placeholder stuff that was in there from the auto-generated Vision Pro project that we created in the last lesson. And then I also completely got rid of the Reality Kit content package because in this section of the course, we will be building a to-do list app, which is simply a 2D Vision Pro app. We will not be using any 3D models in there, hence why I got rid of that package, just so the app builds faster and we are a bit cleaner here in our project overview. Nothing in there that we don't really need. So we just have this empty view in the content view, and let's have a look at how that actually behaves in the simulator, because we haven't even started the simulator once during this course yet. So let me grab it over here, and this is very similar to the live preview, but obviously it's a fully fledged simulator with sound and everything like that. Now I have noticed that in Xcode 15 beta 4, which is the version that I'm using right now, there's always a simulator device returned an error for the requested operation pop up here. So the app never actually launches on the simulator, which isn't a big issue because it is indeed installed here as the Vision Course app in the main menu. And we can open that. And let's see if we can even zoom in a bit here. All right, just like that. So simulator looking good. Of course, the window is completely empty since all we have is our empty view in the content view. Now, as you might have seen in the demo project that got auto-generated, the basic approach is very similar to building iPadOS and macOS apps, and that's using a navigation split view instead of the navigation stack that you might be used to using from iOS applications. So in this lesson, we will be building out the navigation split view. I will giving you an overview of how it works and even a little trick in there that you might have already run across. There's an issue with navigation split view that you might have already came across, and I'll show you a trick on how to fix that. So it's definitely worth it to watch this video until the end, even if you're not into building visionOS. If you just care about the navigation split view, it's already worth it. But before we get started with that, let me create a brand new Swift file, and I will call this models. And in here we will define our to-do list and our to-do item models. So I would actually prefer to be using Swift data for this course, but unfortunately, even though we are already in beta version 4 of Xcode 15, Swift data is still not supported on visionOS. It should be supported, but there are still bugs going on with it. We will be converting this project to Swift data once those bugs are fixed and once Swift data actually works on visionOS just as it does on all the other Apple platforms. But for now, we will just be creating a struct to-do list. We will be giving it an ID, which is a UUID. And since we're not persisting this anywhere, we can just assign it as a constant. And we're actually using that ID to be able to make the list identifiable, so we can use it in a Swift UI list. And then let's also give this list a title that's just a string. And then let's also give it items, which is an array of to-do item. So let's define that next. So a struct to-do item that should also be identifiable. That should also get an ID property just like this. And I also want these to-do items to have a title. And I also want them to have a is done Boolean flag. And let me fix that typo real quick. All right, so that should be the basic setup for our data structure. Now, of course, we can either make the title constant or we can make it a variable. And actually, we want to have the items array be a variable so we can append and remove items from the to-do list if needed. So getting back to the content view, we can now start working on the navigation split view implementation. So let's get rid of the empty view here and let's create a navigation split view. Now, as you can see, there are tons of different initializers available here. We will just be working with the simplest one for now, and we might explore other ones in a dedicated navigation split view video in the future. But for this lesson, we will be using the initializer with a sidebar and a detail. And both of these are just view builder closures. So the sidebar is basically the sidebar here in Xcode, and the detail page is basically the detail page here in Xcode. So for our sidebar, we want a list over to-do lists. So we might as well create a state variable called to-do lists, which is an array of to-do list. And in the beginning, it should just be empty. And now we can create a SwiftUI list over all of those to-do lists. So here we can say list in. And this is where it gets interesting. So I have found that the easiest way to work with navigation split view is to now add a button in here. And as a title, I will say list.title. And in the action, I want to assign this list to be our selected list. So let's create a new state property here. And I will call this selected to-do list, which is an optional to-do list because in the beginning, no to-do list is selected. So let's make this nil by default. And then in our button, we can say selected to-do list is the list of our current iteration of our current button right here. Let's quickly run that in the simulator and have a look at what happened so far. And I'm not expecting a lot because we don't have any to-do lists right now. So having a look at the simulator, it seems like something is loading in there. And there we have it. The app has now finished loading, and you can already see a hint of our navigation split view with the sidebar on the left-hand side and the detail pane on the trailing side right here, which obviously consumes most of the available space. And the sidebar is just about, I would say, a quarter of the available space. So now let's fill all of this with some content. So first of all, I want to give the list a navigation title of to-do lists. Let's have a look at how that behaves on visionOS, because all of these things are new. So you can see we have a navigation title here in the sidebar, and later on we can then also assign a navigation title to our detail panel here on the right hand side. So that would be displayed right here, but that's not something that we're setting up right now. Instead, let's add a toolbar button to our list so we can easily add some dummy to-do lists. For now, we will create a form in the next lesson where the user can actually create real to-do lists. I just want to add this dummy button right now so we can actually test our UI implementation. So I will add the toolbar modifier, and in here, I will not be creating a toolbar item. I will just be adding a button, and I will say add. And in here we can say let list be a to-do list with a title of list and then the number of to-do lists that we already have. So the first one that we create will be called list 0. The second one will be called list 1 and so on. And I will leave the items array empty for now. And then let's append this to our state variable. Just like that. And that should basically create a new to-do list and show that in our sidebar. So let's have a look at that in the Vision Pro simulator. And there you have it. We have the add button in the toolbar now. And when I click it, all right, so there might be an issue. Yeah, it should not be to-do list. It should be to-do lists.count in here. So let's run that again. And let me zoom in again, just like that. Now, if we press the add button, we will have list 0, list 1, list 2, and so on. And as you can see, we get the hover effect for free since this is a SwiftUI list. But obviously nothing happens when we click on it since we're not showing anything in the detail closure over here. So let's do that next. So we only want to show something in the detail closure if we actually have a to-do list selected right now. So we can say if let selected to-do list. And this is a new shorthand syntax here to unwrap the optional. So if we option click that, you will notice that it used to be optional, but now it is a constant that is not optional anymore. So now in here, we could, for example, start to build out this view, but that is also part of a future lesson. So for today, just to get it all started, we will just display the title of the selected to-do list. And then let's also add a navigation title. Let's call it details for, and then let's also add the to-do list title in there. All right, so having a look at this in the simulator now, we can select our different lists in the sidebar and they will be displayed correctly in the detail panel. If you run into issues where this selected to-do list is not being updated, you can make sure that your list is identifiable. And if you're still running into that issue, you can just attach an ID modifier to your detail view, basically saying selected to-do list.id. Let's run that really quick again, but since we're not running into this SwiftUI bug right now, we didn't actually need to do that. But now the switching will definitely work for you, even if you ran into the issue where the detail view didn't refresh when changing your selection in here. All right, so that's already it for this second lesson of the visionOS course. In the next lessons, we will add a form to create actual to-do lists with an actual title. Then we will be creating a detail view here to have a look at all the tasks in the to-do list, enable users to add and complete these tasks as well. So be on the lookout for that. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss future visionOS lessons.